Hello, okay, I want to make a video now. I'm going to explain the concept of how to insert and delete from linked lists. So, what I've got here is I've got a linked list of integers, a linked list containing 4 integers, 3, 1, 6, and 4. And as you can see, each node points at the next node. Well, say that I wanted to, conceptually, I wanted to delete a new node. I wanted to insert a node between this node and this node, between the 1 and the 6. What I'm going to have to do is the very first thing is I'm going to have to create a new node in here. And what I want to make this do is I want to make this node point here and this node point here. That'll effectively insert this new node between these two. Well, how do I do that? First thing, let's say we're going to call this the node with a value of 9. How do I do that? I'm going to take this pointer here, the next value from this node, and I'm going to put it into this next. In other words, I'm going to make this point at the same place that this one already is, and then I'm going to take this node, the next part of it, and I'm going to make it point down here instead, which effectively gets rid of this. And now I've got a linked list that goes from 3 to 1 to 9 to 6 to 4. Hopefully that makes sense. Now, how would I do that? First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to define a new node. So here's my definition, a new node that I'm going to call prev. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get this prev, this variable called prev, to point at this node right here, the one right before where I wanted to insert a new one. So presuming I have a variable called head, I'm going to say prev equals head. That makes me point at this node here. The head is always the first node in your linked list. Now that does have to be a variable that's defined somewhere, but I'm assuming it's already defined here. So prev equals head, and then I'm going to do a little for loop here, and I'm going to keep on going through the nexts from here onto the next one until I get to the point where I want to be. In this case, it really probably should be a 1 there, but basically make this so the prev ends up here. I'm going to say prev.next, repeat this until we're where we want to do the insert. Then I'm going to create a new node. So here's a definition, node n. That's the definition of a node called n, and I'm going to assign it a value of new node 9. So node n equals new node 9. Effectively, that creates this new node. Now I just have to set up the pointers. I'm going to take my new node n.next, that's here, this next value here, and I'm going to assign it to whatever this pointed at before. So n.next equals prev.next. That's how I made this point here, wherever this used to point. And then I'm going to take prev.next and point it at my new node. This is prev, so I'm going to take its next value and I'm going to point it down here. Prev.next equals n.next. So that's all I need to do in order to insert this node between those two. Hopefully that makes sense. Now what if I wanted to delete a node from a list? Well, basically I'm going to do the same thing. Here's my list again. 3, 1, 6, 4, and say I wanted to delete this node here. So first thing I would need to do is I need to move along my linked list, traversing it through the next until I get to the one right before, and then I want to change this link right here. Instead of pointing to here, if I just make this link point right over to there, then effectively I've just taken this one out of my linked list. All I had to do was change the next value of this one to point at the following one. So how do I do that? Again, I define a variable called prev, which is of type node, and I'm going to assign it to the head. I'm going to do a little for loop. I'm going through saying prev equals prev.next until I get to wherever I want to be. In that case, that's right here, pointing at this node. And then all I have to do is I'm going to say prev, which right now would point here, prev.next equals prev.next.next. So prev.next equals prev.next .next. In other words, take this pointer and put it here like that, so that this one used to point here, now this one is going to point here, and that effectively took this one out of the list. So effectively now I've deleted this node from my linked list. And really that's all there is to it. Now if there was a doubly linked list where these were pointing both directions, I would have to adjust the pointers both directions. But in this case, all I have to do is point this around it and I have deleted it. That's it. Thank you.